everyone, welcome back to the Movie Studio. And today I'm here to talk about the final three episodes of Off Campus Season 1. I'm talking about episodes 6, 7, and 8 today. And overall, I mean, these three were good episodes. They'd had a lot of great moments in them, and I do like how things ended going into Season 2. And I I'm a bit mixed on some things. I do think the first half of the season I think was stronger than the second. I think the building of Hannah and Garrett's relationship was really well done. And kind of everything after episode 5, I really feel like was the peak. You had the whole thing with them going to Garrett's dad's house for Thanksgiving. And I really feel like after that, the show just kind of dropped off. I mean, episode 6 mostly focuses on Dean and Allie, which I was kind of confused about because I thought they were getting their own season. So I didn't know why we were spending so much time with them. But I mean, what we got with them was great. I mean, they have a lot of chemistry. There's a lot of potential there. But she just broke up with Sean and she kind of thinks of this as a rebound, but she doesn't think of it as serious either. So it's like a conflicting thing. But they have great chemistry. I really enjoyed all their scenes together. So I just don't have many notes about them. I mean, I think there's a lot of potential with them. I'm looking forward to what they do with them because I'm pretty sure that season 2 is going to kind of be their season based on where this season ended off. Now, from what I know, it's the third book that focuses on Dean and Allie. So I guess they're going to probably switch things around a little bit. But I'm not 100% sure if it's confirmed that next season is focusing on them. But I'm just going to assume that it will based on how the finale ended. But yeah, the Dean and Allie scenes were really hot. Great banter, great chemistry, all of the above. But she kind of freaks out and leaves, kind of. But like we got like the first 20 minutes basically just focused on them. I was surprised that we got that much screen time with them. And then Hannah and Garrett have a nice moment where they say they love each other, and the hockey team decides to do a fundraiser for the team at the restaurant. And so that kind of goes down, and then we kind of get some stuff going on here. Dean and Allie are kind of dancing around each other. Um, let's see. We have Hannah and Justin. So their relationship or partnership kind of goes south in this episode. We find out that Hannah doesn't like what Justin's done with her song, and she's planning to talk to him about it. And then at the fundraiser at the restaurant, he ends up just singing it in front of everyone, even though he didn't run it by her first. So she's really upset with him about that, but he's just kind of pissed off. So this kind of ends their partnership. And I'm not gonna lie, I just didn't care about Justin's character really at all. I mean, I really just feel like he was there for looks and just no substance at all. And I mean, Hannah felt that with him, and that's why she didn't end up getting with him. She just felt a deeper connection with Garrett. But I don't know. I just think they could have written the Justin character a bit better. Like it just felt like a weird way for his character to go out, and we know he's not coming back for season 2, which it makes sense because he was really only instrumental to Hannah's storyline, and it's not going to be focused on Hannah next season. So I don't know. I just thought it was like a weird way to write the whole thing. I just didn't really care, but it was whatever. It was like I think we all were probably wanting Justin just to leave. I don't think a lot of people really enjoyed his character all that much, except for his looks again. So it was kind of whatever. A fine way to end off his arc. But the episode ends with Hannah's trauma kind of being reopened because she finds out that Delaney, her rapist, is I guess the new captain or new starting line, like a big position. I don't know all the hockey positions, but he's a new player for the rival team that Breyer is going up against next game or whatever. So this kind of reopens her trauma, and that's how it ends. So I thought it was a good way because I think we had all kind of been wondering what's Hannah hiding, what's her trauma. We've spent a lot of time with Garrett, but we kind of figured something was coming with Hannah. So I thought this was a good time to kind of go into it and deal with all of it. And that, of course, leads right into next episode, episode 7, where we kind of focus a lot on her trauma with that whole situation and then what ends up happening with her and Garrett as a result of that. But episode 6 was okay. I mean, stuff happened, but really the only thing of significance that actually happened was the Hannah and Justin kind of ending their partnership. I mean, we do get Garrett telling Logan he's upset with him because I guess Logan contacted his dad. And Garrett just doesn't want his dad to be involved in the hockey team, but Logan doesn't understand that. And Logan just thinks Garrett's too hard on his dad, but he doesn't understand what Garrett's going through. So this kind of leads to that fracture between the two friends that leads into the next few episodes. So, but beyond that, episode 6 is a bit filler. It's just filled with a lot of hot Dean and Allie scenes, basically, and that's kind of like probably my favorite part of the episode. But kind of going into episode 7, this is really when the meat of Hannah and Garrett's story takes place because you have her, she's still kind of like closed off. She's not even responding to Garrett about anything. And he's really getting really worried about her. And if we're being honest, she should have just texted him and saying she didn't feel good and she didn't feel like going to the game. I understand that she was going through stuff and that she wanted to disconnect herself from everything, but I still think it's your boyfriend. I think you should tell him that you're just not feeling up for going to the game. And I don't know. I think if maybe things could have gone differently if she would have just communicated better. But she does end up going to the game. And she has this nice scene with her music teacher before she goes, where she's considering dropping out of the pop showcase, and he kind of encourages her to reflect on it. And then there's tensions are brewing. Um, Garrett's upset because Cindy is still with his dad, and he's just frustrated that she's still with him after him, telling her to leave him after Thanksgiving, and she's still with him. And unfortunately, that does happen a lot. It's going to take way more than the son of who you're with, convincing you to leave the man that you're with. I mean, I hope. I don't know how the books end out. I don't even know if Cindy is a player in the books or whatnot. Like if she's a key player, I don't know. But speaking of the book, my mom got the first book through an interlibrary loan, and I'm getting it tomorrow. So I'm going to read it, and then she's getting the other 4 books on ILLs as well. So I'm going to be reading all of them, and I hope to review them on the channel here because now I'm just invested. I don't want to wait to read it right before each season comes out. I just want to read them all and just kind of go with it that way. So you should definitely expect some book reviews in that regard coming this summer, coming shortly. So kind of getting back to the episode, Garrett's off balance. Delaney is a hard ass with hockey. He's very brutal, so that he's struggling with that. He's struggling with his dad being there with Cindy. He's struggling with Hannah not answering him. So he's just spiraling, and Logan can sense it, and there's tensions brewing with them as well. So it's just, not great for Garrett this episode. He's really struggling, but Hannah does show up, and she's kind of there for him. They share a kiss, which I've seen a lot of parallels of this mirrored the Scott and Kip kiss in Haikyuu Rivalry episode 5. And I mean, it kind of did, but it wasn't nearly the same at all, if we're being honest. It, it wasn't for the same purpose. I mean, they weren't even kissing in the middle of the ice. Like, the only people who could see them are, I guess, the people on the other side of the rink. And then, of course, Delaney himself, because, of course, Delaney oversees this kiss, and he's like, oh my gosh, that's the girl that I raped. Or only he won't admit that. He just thinks that she's a lying slut, is what we find out. And yeah, so this is just bad news. And the fact that Hannah is there makes it way worse because if it would none of it would have happened if Hannah hadn't gone. So if, again, so much could have been avoided, but she went, she did the right thing by going to support her boyfriend, but at the expense of that, they had to deal with the whole Delaney issue, which ended up being that Delaney told Garrett on the ice that Hannah's like a lying slut or something like that, and then Garrett attacks him and they fight. And Hannah is pissed off at this because all of her trauma is coming back to her. Seeing her boyfriend beat the shit out of someone that scares her. I do think her being frustrated was valid. And before we kind of get to that, though, Garrett and has a scene with his captain, and what I liked about this particular scene is, and I like this about not the captain, the coach, sorry, the hockey coach, Coach Jensen. I like that Garrett said, "You're not just going to yell at me," and the Jensen says, "Why would I yell at you when I need you to listen?" And I mean, that's really, I feel like a lot of things that coaches get wrong is that they just think that yelling at the players is going to fix everything, and it just doesn't. Like, you have to be you have to like talk in a certain way that's not overly aggressive for them to actually understand what's wrong. I mean, if you want someone to hear, there's a difference between being heard and being listened to. And he needed Garrett to listen to him, and that's why he went that approach. And I just like that they did that because you just don't see that type of coaching style enough. Some players just need that. They need the calm approach as opposed to the aggressive approach. But Garrett has the scene with his dad, and I don't know. It was I mean, his dad's just basically like saying, like his dad just didn't really even really care that he punched him, and Garrett just is kind of done with it. He just says they're done, and this kind of wraps up the Garrett and his dad plot line, and they don't revisit this in the finale. So this is just kind of the ending of their arc. Now, I know that book five focuses on how things are after, like when they get older and everything. So I don't know if there's a resolution to his plotline with his dad, but I was kind of glad that there wasn't in episode eight. I kind of like that they just ended it with his dad being an asshole and a douche, and that was the end of it. And just and Garrett accepting that, I thought that was good for his plot. But unfortunately, Garrett had to go from talking with his coach to talking with his dad to then talking to Hannah, and they get their ugly breakup. And I was not expecting Garrett to be the one to break up with her. That was a shock to me. And again, I haven't read the book, so I had no idea what was going to happen, or I have nothing to base this off of. But I'm curious how all this goes down in the book. But Hannah's upset, because she doesn't want him to protect her, and Garrett just assumes that's what he's supposed to do because that he's her boyfriend, and yeah, he's just it's I understand both sides because Garrett, like, him realizing that that was the dude who raped Hannah. I mean, it's an understandable reaction to want to beat the shit out of him. But then again, it's also you're on the ice. You have to remain professional. He could have done it after the game if he had so chosen. I mean, I wouldn't have done that either. But I understand that part of it. I also think he does have a point when he says Hannah lied to him and told him that she was okay. I think he's valid for being upset there. But I would have liked, I don't know, I just didn't like him blowing up at her when it was her trauma being affected. I didn't particularly care for that. I think they were both kind of in the right and both kind of in the wrong in the situation, but they ended up breaking up. And again, I just assumed she would break up with him because she was just kind of, that scared her, him attacking Delaney. But he breaks up with her. And yeah, and I mean, granted, he had just gotten into an argument with his dad. His career was on the line. He's stressed out. Hannah's coming at him. It was just too much for him, and he just had to end it right there. I think breaking up with her was a bit of an extreme reaction. I would have just like avoided her and like walked away and just left the conversation for a different time. But it's just, they have to go for the dramatics in this show. And granted, maybe that's how it happened in the book, so maybe they were just kind of copying that. I don't know. But Hannah has a really emotional scene with her mom, and great when she says, like, you were a drunk girl who went to a party, or not, you just a girl who went to a party and had a drink and you did nothing wrong, which was a great scene. The scene with her and her mom on the phone was really well done. And yeah, and then Logan and Garrett, they're still beefing at the end, and it kind of ends off with Hannah and Garrett all alone. Well, Allie comes to confront Hannah. She's eating a bag of flaming hot Cheetos, which those things are good, but I cannot eat too much of them at one time. I cannot eat a whole bag of them. I mean, if I did, I would have like five water bottles next to me empty. But those things are good. But I like that callback that Hannah was the one who ended up eating the bag. That was funny. And so yeah, Garrett ends up alone, and that's how the episode ends. So overall, it was a good episode. We also have this side plot going on, which I didn't really care too much about, but it was basically Allie working with this agent, and she recommends that she finds like another like side quest when it comes and just find someone to fuck, and she ends up talking to this guy at this bar. We find out next episode who he is. And once I heard the name, of course, like the cast name shows up on Amazon, so you can see on the left side who they're playing. So the thing was kind of spoiled for me, anyways, even though I haven't even read the book, which I assume this is a plot in the book. I don't know for sure though. But I mean, the kiss scene with Hunter and Allie was cute and all, but it's nothing compared to her chemistry with Dean. Those two things you just cannot compare, and I don't think you're supposed to. I don't think you're supposed to compare. I think this is just meant to be a distraction to distract herself from how she clearly feels about Dean. And that, of course, is going to create conflict going into episode 8. Episode 8 was a good finale. I thought I enjoyed the finale. We start off with Hannah and Garrett. They're both grieving their breakup, and we see people are avoiding Hannah, pretty much just thinking that she's a lying slut or whatnot, and just to avoid her and everything, thinking that she's just going to come at guys and everything, attack them basically. Um, some people from like the hockey team, like younger people, are kind of spreading that nonsense about her, to kind of making it into a bigger deal than it actually is. And Garrett says you should be with whoever you want to be with, and I wouldn't tell anyone to stay away from you. So I mean, they clearly still care about each other. They're just going through a phase right now, the after breakup phase. And I would have liked maybe for like an episode of that, like a full episode of them being broken up, because I do think it felt kind of rushed that they just back to back they broke up and then got back together. I know it happens, but I would have liked a little bit more breathing room for that, but it's kind of whatever. We find out that because Garrett seem to have participated in a Bruins practice. That means that they drafted an eligible player, which means that Breyer now has to forfeit all of their wins. So now they're kind of back down to the bottom. And the whole team's upset about it. Garrett's upset about it himself. And I liked when the coach said, "Why did you go after the guy?" And Garrett said it wasn't his story to tell, which I like that. Again, he was very respectful of Hannah throughout this episode. I didn't agree with how exactly he treated her last episode, but I like that this episode he still very much clearly cared about her and wanted, wouldn't let anyone talk bad about her and wanted to make sure she was okay and all of that. So Dean and Allie says that they need to hook up with other people. That's kind of where she's at. That's kind of what she tells them. They need to hook up with other people because she just doesn't want it to become serious. Why? Because she's scared, because she actually likes him more than she's willing to admit. And Dean doesn't want to do that. He just wants to be with her. He clearly likes her a lot, and he tells her that at the end of the episode. But it's just Allie's way of dodging what's right in front of her. And a lot of people are that way too. They're scared of getting their heart broken. They're scared of how deeply they feel for this person. And especially her after everything that happened with Sean. And Sean, kind of saying she's like a whore, basically, after finding out she was with Dean, or not knowing she was with Dean specifically, but finding out she was with a guy kind of on the rebound. So, she's kind of struggling with all of it, and she just doesn't want to let herself get that close to another guy emotionally. That's why she just kind of wants to keep it just sex, but not to the point where that's the only person you're with. Dean doesn't want to do that, though. So they're kind of talking about how they apparently one of their players is down, the hockey players, so they want to bring in Hunter Davenport, but Dean doesn't like him at all, and we kind of wonder why. And there's obviously more to the story. We find out there was something that happened with Dean's sister and him, and I assume this is a whole plot line in book 3. I'm not exactly sure about that though. Um, so we get an emotional scene. Hannah tells Allie that it wasn't her friend that got raped, it was her herself. And Allie said she always knew that, and she had just waited for Hannah to tell her. And I thought it was a really nice scene between the two friends. And one thing I really like about this show is that they just write this friendship really well. I mean, it's not like a toxic female friendship like we've seen in so many shows. It's actually like a really meaningful friendship, and there really hasn't been any issues between them, no arguments or anything. So I just really like the story that they've told with their friendship, and just female empowered friendships. I just think they're usually just written so with so much toxicity, and I like that they just had a healthy friendship and it was okay. And I like that they kind of had the guy friendship between Logan and Garrett to be like the one with conflict. It was just a nice change of conflict, and I did like that. Um, so Garrett and Logan, they make up because Garrett remembers Logan pulling him off of Delaney on the rink, and yeah, so he kind of remembers that. And then we have Dean telling his friend Bo how much he cares about Allie and how he's not able to complete the assignment with her because of that. And Bo tells her, just tell her how you feel. There's nothing wrong with that. And what's the worst that can happen? And unfortunately for Dean, the worst that does happen ends up at the end of the episode. Then we see Dean, or not Dean, Allie and Hunter coming across each other. We get the hockey game, and Garrett steps down as captain and lets Logan be captain. And I thought that was an appropriate way to handle that whole thing. It makes sense. He's questioning, do I want to keep playing hockey? And I don't. I guess we don't know. I think he's still going to play. He just doesn't want to be captain anymore because he does find enjoyment and love in the sport. He does care about it. He does love it. He is passionate about it. But it's just time for him to step down. There's been too much pressure thanks to his dad, and he just wants to play for fun, have fun without the pressure. And I completely understand that. And Logan definitely deserves it. So I like how that whole thing went down. And then Hannah decides she wants to do the pop showcase. So the entire hockey team plus Garrett and Allie, uh, well, Garrett's a part of the team. I meant the entire team plus Allie. They come to support Hannah, and she does a great job. Beautiful voice, and she gets second place at the showcase, but then she ends up getting first place because her and Garrett get back together. And yeah, it was a cute scene, but I'm glad that they're back together. But I don't know. I mean, it was pretty like what it was like. What 2 minutes of the episode left is when they got back together. It felt a bit rushed, but I mean, they had to end things happily ever after because they're not the focus of season two. And I think I would have liked for maybe a couple more episodes. I think they could have easily had done 10 episodes, but I understand they maybe thought 8 episodes was the perfect way to tell that story, but I would have removed the Dean and Allie stuff and had just saved the good chunk of that for the next season and had replaced that with more Hannah and Garrett stuff. And I think the Delaney issue could have been expanded upon too. I would have enjoyed that more, but it's okay. I mean, it wasn't perfect, but the ending scene does set up season two because Dean tells Allie that he likes her and that he wants to be with her for realsies. And then she says Hunter walks in right after she tells him that she hooked up with someone else. So he finds out that Hunter was the dude she hooked up with, which leads to Dean and Hunter getting into a fight, and that's how it ends off. So again, I'm assuming this is going to be a big conflict next season, and I'm down for it because I do like Allie's character a lot. She's like that perfect side character with main character potential, and I definitely think that will be put to good use in season two. So I like that ending a lot. I just didn't care for this second half of the season as much. I honestly just feel like what the build up for a relationship is just almost always so much better than when they actually get together, and they really didn't have too long before a conflict came their way, and then they got back together really quickly. And I just feel like they needed a couple more episodes, or maybe to just have taken away the alley stuff with Dean and just given them more time. I feel like, I don't know, I just didn't care for some of the pacing and how they wrote some stuff in these last few episodes. But again, I really enjoyed Off Campus. It's very much an addiction. I saw something somewhere that it surpassed the Samurai Term Pretty with watch time, which is crazy considering how popular those books were. I mean, these off-campus books, they weren't even at the library. Like, my mom had to get them through the loan, which that was crazy to me because I'm like, how can this show be so popular? And I think a lot of people have been missing a show that they can just hook themselves onto like that and just latch themselves onto. I think people have been missing that show because the Samurai Turned Pretty season three was a massive success. Everyone was talking about it, and I think people see that potential with this show. I've seen a lot of people talking about it, and maybe not as much as the Samurai Turned Pretty, but it's clearly more people are watching it, I guess. So there's a lot of potential with this show. I assume they're going to have 5 seasons, one for each book, and I assume we'll see Hannah and Garrett in future seasons as well. So I'm looking forward to how they handle all of that. But I read season two is going to be coming out in 2027, so very much looking forward to that. But let me know down below, what did you think of the season as a whole? These last 3 episodes, and yeah, what are you excited about for season two? So thanks everyone for listening, and bye everyone.